These characters are at a moment where everything is so raw. You know, it's your first love and your first heartbreak and your first disappointment and your first win, and those moments stay with you. Everyone, as I said them, I could see you listing in your head yours. When I first came to DC, Dan was kind of laying out all the things that they have and all the things that we're doing. And he said, "Hey, you know what? We've had a lot of luck with these pop-up imprints. Gerard Way has one. Neil has one. Think about what you would do if you had one. Maybe that's something you want to do." And it got under my skin, and I was thinking about it. And then I thought, oh, maybe I'll do a line of crime comics. That's something I'm known for. And then I'm like, well, the Jinx World books are all kind of crime comics. So they all are in.
So you got that covered.
Yeah, I looked at them. That scratch is being itched very well. So, and then I went, well, what's the one thing that I do that's not being done here? And then I realized, and it was funny because it did take a couple months to miss the feeling of the Ultimate line because I was still working. I remember I was sick, so I was still writing my last Marvel comics into my DC contract. So it took a couple of months for me to go, oh, I miss writing all my young friends and at that moment in their life that everything is crazy. And then I thought, oh, you know, DC actually doesn't have that. They don't have a line of books about their teen heroes trying to figure it out. And so I brought it up. I said, the Ultimate line had a philosophy about the wonder of life and the wonder of comics and the wonder of youth. And I go,
I detect the theme.
What? And I said, I wonder if there's something like that we can do here. And he said, Young Justice. And then from there you can build, right? He goes, we need a Young Justice book, and that's perfect. And then when we started casting and building, and while I was developing the Young Justice book, I just was falling madly in love with Patrick Gleason on Superman, but at the same time had this weird feeling as I was slowly realizing, oh, this partnership, you used to have this with Pete Tomasi. This was a really, some collaborations are just on surface and they're business-like and very friendly. Others can get very deep and personal and be part, now we're family, right? And and I've had this with people, David Marquez and Mike Oeming and David Mack. These people I work with are my family. And when you realize, oh no, this Superman book.
Ultimate.
Yeah, exactly. But this Superman book is part of that family. I should do something with Pat that's not that. He's done this already. And then at the same time, Pat's done amazing Green Lantern work, amazing work on Robin. And a lot of and Superboy, there's so many flavors that he's already. And then I called him up and I said, "This is weird because we just started action, but maybe we should be doing this thing that we can build ourselves and have this moment that isn't in the shadow of Pete, right?" And he was like, "Well, I pitched the Young Justice thing about a year ago, and it didn't really land. But I really want to do Young Justice." And I said, "Show me your pitch. Let's put them together. Let's see what we have." And that's what we did. Yeah.
And one of the characters is a character called Teen Lantern.
Yes.
We've never seen a teen Green Lantern.
Well, it was really funny because he literally wrote down the words Teen Lantern, and it's one of those ideas that it's either entirely stupid or brilliant. It's hard to tell, right? And so but I've learned that I literally go to my dinner table and I said, "What do you think of the new character Teen Lantern?" And my daughter went, "Teen Lantern." And I go, "Oh, that's a name. That's it. That's all I needed." And and also Ginny Hex is a new character. Now Ginny Hex is the great granddaughter of Jonah Hex, the great scarred Westerner from the glory days of DC's
Please tell me
past.
you're not giving her a scar.
No, she's not earned that scar. But what she did inherit is an old Western trunk full of DC artifacts and memorabilia that Jonah has collected throughout his whole life, including his later years, which we don't know a lot about. And now, without any instructions or any connection to it, she has a box full of cool DC stuff that makes her almost like the greatest American hero of the DC universe. She has all this cool stuff and has no idea how to use it. She opens up the trunk and pulls out an Adam Strange ray gun, has no idea how to work it. Yeah.
Some of the other books that you have coming up, you have a Wonder Twins book.
Yes.
irrationally excited about this.
Yes,
I've always
you
loved
should
the
be.
Wonder
That's the
Twins.
only way to be excited about Wonder Twins is irrationally.
Tell me about the creative team on that book.
Yes, so I came to Dan with, and from Young Justice, we can do Dilates for Hero, Wonder Twins.
DC has so many
Yeah,
teen heroes that are perfect
that
for this
are
line.
great and just not being used at the moment, or even the idea of Dilates for Hero is amazing, hasn't been used at the moment. So I brought it up. I heard through the grapevine that the Wonder Twins themselves have a very harried history of development in projects that have never seen the light of day. So this would be a big mountain for me to climb to get that, to sell the Wonder Twins as a thing. So I thought to myself as a fan, what writer in comics would make me buy it no matter what? I thought of what the thing was, and it was Mark Russell. And because I live in Portland where he lives, but I don't know him, and I at my local.
Aren't you like the king of Portland?
There's a lot of people in Portland, but I know him, but we shop at the same store, and I went into Excalibur Comics, and the guy who works there literally grabbed me by the shoulders and goes, "The Flintstones is the best book in the market." And I go, "Oh, great, I'll buy one." He goes, "No!" He starts shaking me. "Why? It's the Flintstones." Yeah, like that messed with his brain. And I went home and I read it. I go, "This guy's working on that level I love, that like he sees things differently." And I called, and I just had in my head from reading his book that he would say yes to the Wonder Twins. Like, and if he did, he would deliver something that would be art. It would be more than just, it would be something really special, and that's exactly what happened. And it was so great because Dan DiDio, the whole time this is going on, he was, he was feeling a lot of love towards me for signing, and I was better. He thought I was losing me, and he didn't lose me. So it was like, there was a lot of emotions in the air. He didn't want to say no to Wonder Twins, so he kept calling it, "God help me, the Wonder Twins." That was how it was referred to. So the fact that, but it was good because it gave me, like, I have to make this book something he wants to publish. So Mark and Steven absolutely made it a book.
Let's get one thing perfectly clear here. Gleek is involved, right?
Oh yeah. No,
Okay.
it's the story
have the
of
twins
two
without the
twin aliens, teenagers who live here with a crazy scientist and their alien monkey, and go to high school, and they have a psychic connection with each other. Can you imagine having a psychic connection to your teenage brother? Ugh. And just you'll never stop gagging.
Mark
And,
Russell is the perfect
yeah,
writer for this book.
exactly. So.
I'm wondering, you have several kids of various ages. Family is obviously incredibly important to you. I'm wondering, is Wonder Comics a way for you to create comics that your kids, as they're starting to get older, can enjoy as much as you did when you were that age? Because the comics reading audience has changed. We talk about it a lot, but I'm more wondering about that. It's also interesting to me that your wife is working with you on the Wonder Comics line,
Yeah.
and Jinx World.
Yeah, to answer the first part, yes, but I started writing like young Peter Parker, like before I had kids. It was just me working out my teenage, all those wounds from high school. You can really keep them open if you keep picking at the scab, which I was doing throughout my entire Spider-Man run. Just, this doesn't close if you keep picking at it. So I started doing it for myself, and then it became, people really, this is a wonderful way to really express a lot of ideas, because these characters are at a moment where everything is so raw. It's your first love, and your first heartbreak, and your first disappointment, and your first win, and those moments stay with you. Everyone, as I said them, I could see you listing in your head yours, right? They're right there. They mean the world to you because it's the first time you ever felt these things. And it kind of defined you as a person. So writing those moments of every character is something anyone relates to, even if like I didn't have a teenage brother that I had a psychic connection to, but I do know what it felt like to be annoyed by my brother. I do know what it felt like to like not fit in high school. So having these characters as almost like superpowered avatars of this experience lets people really work out some stuff. And I found that so it's adults and kids, and then I have people reading the younger stuff, like people who had Miles would read it before they became 15. Like they were reading it to see, what's 15 going to be like? Yeah. Like they were reading it and telling me, like they were like charting their excitement for high school and their friends based on what they were reading in our comics. Not just me, but like Miss Marvel and Riri Williams. You would hear from fans, like the older fans commiserate with the experience and know it to be true. The younger fans, show me the future. And also show me something cool I'm not seeing on TV. You know, the younger fans, they really do. They come. That's why Lumberjanes is such a hit. I've seen everything on Netflix. Show me something I can't see on Netflix, and that's why we pick these titles. The Young Justice, yes, but even our Young Justice is very different than the one you're going to see, and the other titles are all new to the world.
Young Justice debuts in January.
January with a new book called Naomi, which is another book in the line. This book is co-created by myself, David Walker, and Jamal Campbell. You know, I have a multiracial household that David is an uncle of, and he also grew up in the Pacific Northwest as sometimes the only brown person in the place. So we've been talking about it for a long time, and now Naomi was the story of the only brown-skinned girl in a Pacific Northwest town that suddenly gets, one day, Superman and Mongol crash into the middle of town and just bounce right out. Just one of those big, you know, they just bounce into the next town.
That they leave
yeah,
behind.
they just boom. But just the image of Superman crashing into town sends this girl who's adopted into a process of trying to figure out what her adoption means. And by doing so, she's going to accidentally unveil one of the biggest additive things to the DC universe you've seen in a long, long time. A whole big thing is going to come out of her origin that is going to hopefully amplify a lot of things going on at DC.
You just telling me the pitch and the theme behind that story. I know there's a lot of similarities to real life elements of your life, and as you mentioned about David Walker's, it goes back to the adage that people say, always write what you know.
Well, it's always what you know, but also I learned a few years ago as an adoptive parent, a lot of adoption organizations got a hold of me and said, hey, this thing you do when you post pictures of your kids is a big deal. And I go, oh, I always put, they go, no, you're a multiracial family and you have a bit of a profile that isn't like, you know, Angelina Jolie, that seems, you know, they're living in some weird world. You're like a normal person with a family. When you do that, it really normalizes it and lets people who are thinking about it or in a similar situation feel connected to stuff, and that made me think about how many stories about adoption are like Harry Potter, where it's the kid's been adopted and everybody hates him. Everybody hates him. And I go,
clean the floorboards at night. Yeah.
And my daughter is 11 and is literally the funniest kid at school. Like my oldest kid.
Sassy pants?
My oldest daughter told me my 11-year-old kills at school. Just like just kills. Might work a little blue, but kills. Right. And that made me like I didn't like I had to hear about it. I don't get to see it, right? So and it made me think about how loved my daughter is and how much we love her, and that there isn't an adoption. Like I was having trouble thinking of an adoption story that no, the kid's happy, but still being pulled by, you know, and by that thing that I'm not where I was supposed to be. Like I'm somewhere else. So instead of making it like a scar, making it no, I'm empowered by my life, but I need to find out what else there is. So that's the part. And also, because I have a family with adoption in it, almost everyone else in our lives is part of an adoption community. So I've heard so many stories and so many different perspectives and experiences from this, from the greatest adoption family ever to the worst family ever. So you hear all of them. So much of it's in my life that I couldn't help but find a way with David to put it in a story. And there's something about the DC universe and oh yeah, and someone else said to me, you know, Superman is considered in the adoption community the adoption story. Like,
really?
yeah. And when that was explained to me, I almost had tears in my eyes because I was, oh my God, of course that's what the story is.
Yeah.
And then you see now that I'm writing Superman, you can really feel the fans connect to that. They connect to the displaced person in a family, and so all of that inspired Naomi.
Action Comics 1004.
Yes.
Give us a quick tease of what we're going to see there.
This is what everyone's been asking us for. Not only is it the Action Comics re-debut of Ryan Sook, who's going to do the next few issues, and I think is one of the best artists in comics. I'm very excited about this. It's the return of Lois Lane. People wanted to know where Lois has been, what she's been doing. We've been teasing it. She's been holed up in a hotel room somewhere in Chicago, typing her butt off. But she hasn't been communicating with Clark. We haven't found out what happened to John. Why didn't she come back to Clark? Why isn't she back at the Daily Planet? All of these things are going to be beginning to be answered in Action Comics 1004, including what's going to be the relationship. What is the relationship between Lois and Clark?
Clearly, it won't be an easy answer.
It's going to be one of my favorite answers. This book filled me I will tell you that our editor said she was like tears in her eyes. She was so happy with what we were doing in the book. So that's why I'm promoting it, because if one other person feels how Jessica felt, I'll feel great, you know. So, but it's a really, not only do you get to really feel what's going on with Lois and Clark, but I really wanted to introduce you to what I feel about Lois Lane. Like this is, even though Lois was in Man of Steel, it was a reactive, but this is, I have since come on board to feeling that Lois Lane is the best character in DC Comics, the most important character in DC Comics. If you really pull apart what she's done and how she does it with nothing to back, no power to back it up, but gets into every situation Clark does, right? I think she's amazing.
Who is surprised that you wouldn't have a soft spot
for Lois Lane.
the journalist,
Yeah.
for the journalist in your book?
You know what? I gotta tell you, and some of it is like,
you love the newsroom.
I do love the newsroom, and every once in a while, there's a couple of New York Times reporters that I wish were more like Lois Lane. I keep watching them on Twitter, and I keep like, Lois wouldn't do this. I'm talking about what a journalist's job really is, and how easy it is for some people to be pushed off their goal by, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
they can be pushed to look at the other things. So not Lois. Lois is always on target, and I'm excited, very excited to write it.